All right. Shh. Hey, I got a serious question for you guys. Why are you here? I mean, sincerely, it's a question to ask. Shh. Why are you guys here? I want you to think about it. Don't answer. I want you to think about it. Why are you here? And when I say that, I don't want you to go into that default mode. You say, oh, well, I'm here because whatever. Like, are you here because your parents brought you? Are you here because there's a girl here you dig? Or a boy here you like? Are you here because you have a genuine relationship with God and you're just trying to grow that? Are you maybe here because you're avoiding homework? Now, regardless, whatever it is, no matter what brought you through those doors tonight, I am glad you are here. I am glad you're through those doors. But the truth remains that we're all here for different reasons. And tonight, I want to ask you guys, why are you here? And here's the real question, I guess what I'm really getting at is, what do you believe? And what do you, the individual, believe, right? You guys are in high school. You're trying to figure out who you are. You're individuals. What do you believe? Not what does your mom believe, not what does your dad believe, not what does your grandma believe, your dog, your cat, whatever. What do you as individuals, what do you believe? I know you guys got opinions. I know you guys are thinking. I know you guys are processing life in a new way as you guys grow up into adults. What do you believe? See, many of in this room, we call ourselves Christians, but we are unaware as to what that statement truly entails. See, when you get to be my age, when you get to college level, something that happens is everybody turns into a political expert. It's true. It's amazing. It's magic. It happens. So what you have is you have people posting all this junk on Facebook without really knowing what they're talking about, whether it be liberal or conservative, whatever it is, they're just kind of spewing off at the mouth with a bunch of junk, and you can tell by reading it that the only reason they're really saying what they're saying or believe what they believe is because they heard half of it somewhere. They had a parent who thought it. In the same way, you would never sign up for a job without reading the job description. I did it. I don't recommend it. Potentially, you'd never enter a relationship without really getting to know the person well first. Hopefully, it is high school. Hopefully. In the same way, guys, many of us are unaware of what true biblical Christianity requires us to both proclaim and profess. And over the next 7 weeks, we're going to be going through what it is to be a Christian. We're going to go over through the core values of what it really means to believe Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. But tonight, I want to ask you two really simple, basic questions. What do you believe? And again, don't phase me out. Don't tune me out when I say that. Don't treat that like a cliche question, even though it is. Really internalize and personalize that. What do you believe? The individual, not your mom, not your dad. What do you believe? And here's the second question. What is truth? Now, that sounds kind of like a stupid question on the front end when I ask that. What is truth? But the truth of the matter is that there is probably people in this room. There's people in your family. I know for a fact there's people in your city who have a different definition of what truth is than you do. And here's why. Hang with me. We live in a society that tells us what is true is decided by each individual, and you're only wrong if you openly confess that you think somebody else is wrong. I'm going to say that again, not because I think you guys don't get it, but because it's worded kind of weird. We live in a society that tells us what is true is decided by each of us. We each pick our own truth. You pick your truth, I pick my truth. And you're only wrong if you tell somebody that one of their truths is wrong. And tonight, that's our culture. That's the society we're living in. And here tonight, what we're going to really cover, the point we're trying to drive home is this. That line of thinking in this society cannot exist with your personal relationship with Jesus Christ. It can't. We see this clearly stated, just so you guys know, I'm not straying too far off. This isn't just me talking, that I didn't say it, somebody else did. John 14:6, Jesus answered, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. And as you guys go to school, as you guys get jobs, as you guys go to college, as you guys intake just today's media, something's going to become very clear to you, and that's this. Truth is relative. If somebody feels like they were a woman, but born a man, that's their truth. If you have somebody who likes Jesus in the Bible, but they don't really like the part about being sexually pure, they don't really like the part about not drinking, then they can take half of it, and they can toss the other half, and that's their truth. See, the term, hang with me, is called moral relativity or moral relativism, and I Googled what it means. Moral relativism is the view that moral judgments are true or false only relative to some particular standpoint, that no standpoint is uniquely privileged over all others. Basically, it means this. Moral relativism, our culture is basically saying this. It's beautiful, it's magical, it's amazing, it's everybody's right. Everybody's right. Nobody's wrong. You have your truth, I have my truth. What's not necessarily right for you doesn't always have to be wrong for me. Don't put your truth on me, man. Don't do that. See, society says the truth is dictated by the individual. And that creates a ton of dilemmas. Logically, we can break that down in the sense like, is truth dictated by culture? Is it dictated by law? Is it dictated by whether or not it hurts somebody else? And we could get into all that, but the truth of the matter is that varies by topic in our society. But one thing you're going to see constantly throughout society, and that's this. In today's world, the only thing that is truly unacceptable in our culture is to proclaim that something is completely and totally and unequivocally true for all of humanity. And they're going to say things like this. Don't be intolerant. They're going to say things like, don't force your truth on other people. Don't be a bigot. Don't be hate-filled. And does that seem right? Am I painting an accurate picture of our society, of our culture? Is that something that you guys are in it? Like, am I just painting something with a figment of my imagination? You guys feel that at all? Yeah? I see some head shaking. Okay. I'll work with it. Okay. Preach. Okay. So here's the first question. First question. What else in the universe looks like that, right? Who's in a math class right now? Me. What does 1 plus 1 equal? You guys are such smart Alex. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Shh. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Here's the cool thing about math, even though I'm not very good at it. The cool thing about math is numbers can only be what they are. They can only equal what they equal. 1 plus 1 will equal 2 always. I know that for a fact, but I learned it the hard way because I was never any good at math, and I spent most of my high school experience in math classes trying to make numbers equal things that they didn't because I was bad at it. And there was this girl. I was not in advanced math. I was in the other one. I don't want to go into details. But then there was a girl, and she was in my class. So I'm a freshman, right? And there's this girl in my class, and her name's Cindy. And she's in 7th grade. And her grades are always better than mine. I can't stand Cindy. But I'm very nice to Cindy because I think maybe she'll let me use her homework sometime. So my teacher never did this one time. Not one time did my teacher did this, and I guarantee he's never done it to you. He never grabbed Cindy's paper and go, wow, Cindy, all of your answers perfectly match the answers in the textbook. That's 100%. That's an A+. Max, you got your name right. But I don't want to put Sydney's truth on you. You didn't get any answers right according to the textbook, but you interpreted these answers in a different way. You interpreted these numbers in a different way. So here is also 100 for you, Max. And I would have said, why, thank you, teacher. Never happened. Didn't happen one time. And you know why? Because I was wrong. And Cindy was right. Every time she was right. Her mind was a computer. She was always right. It didn't make her better than me. It made her better than me in math, but it didn't make her better than me as a person. The truth of the matter was this. She was right, and I was wrong. In math, somebody has a right answer, somebody has a wrong answer. And the truth of the matter is, guys, that's just the way the world works. Sporting events have winners, right? Elections have presidents and senators. One president, one senator for every election. Wars have wars. I think I said that already. The point is this. The statement, everybody is right, has never been one that's brought satisfaction to humanity for this simple reason. It just doesn't make any sense. That's the culture of the day, though. That's what we're living in, with issues like gender identity, sexual activity, same-sex relationships, with partying, gossiping, you name it. Any single issue, that's what you're seeing in our culture. I'm going to do me, you're going to do you. When it's all said and done, we'll come out all right in the end. Now, I won't lie, it sounds like a pretty sweet deal, right? Like, if you just thought about it, it'd make life a lot easier, wouldn't it? Through my struggles with belief, because I've had them multiple times, like, that's been a really hard thing for me to grasp, just like belief in God. This one has looked really appealing to me when I thought I could, like, choose my belief. I thought, this one's good, more else, this is easy. And I thought about it because if you struggle with something, like an eating disorder, or if you struggle with porn, or if you struggle with a frustration in your family, if you have like broken relationships, if you struggle with depression, whatever it is, even if you like to go out and drink or party, whatever it is that binds you, there's really no reason for you to give that up then, is there? Because that's your truth. You hold on to that. And if you look through our culture, that's what we're seeing. Things like, you can't judge me. This is my truth. Don't be hate-filled. Why don't you accept me? Why don't you accept my lifestyle? When we buy into this logic, what we have is people holding on to these things, their crutches, and refusing to let them go, and having them represent them as an individual. If you're in love with your significant other and you truly feel that God put you guys together, you don't need to put up physical boundaries, because that's just not realistic. So I'm going to separate that from my truth. That's not my truth. That's some people's truth. That was my grandpa's truth, but that's not my truth. I have lots of non-Christian friends. They like to go and drink on the weekends. So I know the Bible says, but that's my truth. So if you don't like it, that's okay, because that's your truth, but this is mine. Guys, this is pertinent throughout our culture. It's running rampant. And it comes down to stuff like this. Everything is permissible. It's wrong for some people, but not for me, not for you. I'm not a bigot. I accept all lifestyles. Now, I can't say where you're at with your own personal walk with God. That's the cool thing about God. We're all in different places here. Just because your mom and dad believe a certain thing doesn't count for jack squat. You guys have decisions to make. You guys are young adults. You guys are making decisions. You're individuals. That's why I love hanging out with you guys, because you all have crazy, unique personalities, and God is working all of you in a unique and cool and special way in your different facets of life from your different backgrounds. But I need you to hear this tonight. If you walk away from anything, just hear me right now. If you're going to pay attention, this is the point to do it. For those of us who openly profess to be Christians, for those of us who openly proclaim to be sincere believers and lovers of Jesus, if you're professing to be a Christian, then you're claiming there's one right way to live. You are claiming that there's one answer to hopelessness, and you're claiming that there's one way to heaven. To be a Christian is to stand and proclaim Jesus as God, that you're right and the world is wrong, period. That right there is offensive. That right there is going to make a lot of people angry in a college classroom. That right there will alienate you. Acts 4:12 says, salvation is found in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given to mankind by which we must be saved. Guys, the namesake of our belief was murdered for being offensive. And guess what I'm trying to say to you guys is, you guys have a choice to make, right? You're individuals. Your mom and dad believe thing, cool, so what? You guys have a choice to make, and I'm here to tell you that if you choose this lifestyle, if you choose to proclaim and profess to be a Christian, then you need to know this lifestyle isn't for cowards. It's a real commitment. It's a real thing. It's sacred to be a Christian. And a lot of times we just hold on to it because mom and dad said so, and they said, hop in the car, kids, we're going to come to youth group. Again, that's good. I'm glad you're here. Even if you don't know and you're not sure, I'm glad you're here, and I want you to keep coming. But for those of us who claim and profess to be Christians, we have a very serious question to answer. Check this out. Matthew 7:14. Jesus knew it was hard. He said this, but small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Only a few. He also said this. This is one of my favorite verses, right? Or series of verses. John 15:18-19. If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you. Guys, here it is. You cannot truly believe, you cannot truly call yourself a Bible-believing Christian if you do not believe in the absolute truth of Jesus Christ. Here's the thing, though. The devil's smart. The devil's smart. So here's what he does, right? It's hard for me to shake Riley of his belief in God. It's hard for him to shake Aiden of his belief in God, right? Because we have lots of reasons why we believe in God, but here's the truth of it. What he does is he just comes up to this sentence in your life that says, Jesus is the way. He comes over and he grabs that the, and he just spins it to an ah. He changes the article. I was better at English than I was at math. Changes that article, the, to an ah. And when he does that, he changes the entire fabric of what we believe. Here's the thing. It's working, though. It's running rampant.
We'll get into that more later, though. I'm getting ahead of myself. Because when he does that, when he makes us say Jesus is just a way to heaven, we have a lot of things, right? Why share the gospel? Why try to get free of porn? Why try and pursue a healthy relationship? Why forgive my parents? Why do any of those things? Because this is just my truth. This is just my reality. This is just my way out of 1,000 different ways. It's a brilliant tactic and it's working. And here's the thing. As somebody who struggled with belief, I don't think you're a bad person if you struggle with the concept of Jesus being the only way to heaven. I really don't. I get it. That's a jagged pill to swallow. But riddle me this. Why does every Christian and their mother have a tattoo, a cross tattoo, a cross earring, a cross bumper sticker, a cross necklace? I'm not knocking it, but why? It's because somebody died on a cross, right? It's because someone was brutally murdered on a cross. And that man was Jesus, we know that. But before he went, he cried out to God if there was any other way. It says right here in Luke 22:41-44, he withdrew about a stone's throw beyond them, knelt down and prayed, Father, if you're willing, take this cup from me, and not my will, but yours be done. An angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly. He's asking with more intensity, God, if there's any other way, don't make me do this. And his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. Who in this room thinks that God heard that prayer? Who thinks that God heard that prayer from Jesus? Guys, when we say that there's multiple ways to heaven, what we're saying is that God is really, really stupid, and he didn't know, and Jesus got off the cross and he was like, whoops. Or we're saying that he's a monster. He didn't care. It's like, you know what? Just for one other way, I'll let you suffer. I won't respond to that prayer. I'll let you be in that place. Guys, if you have any semblance of a relationship with God, then you know for a fact that God heard that prayer. And the reason that he didn't answer it, the reason he didn't deliver Jesus is because he couldn't. Because there was one way. So to renounce Jesus' life and death, is anything other than the way to heaven, is to renounce Christianity. Now, really quick, I want you guys to know I have not forgotten who God is. God loves everybody, right? And just because we're right, just because our truth is the correct truth, the only truth, does not mean that we have to have a superiority complex and walk around like we're better. Because we're not. We're just saved. We're just forgiven. We're called to love everybody. Jesus was called a drunkard and a sluggard by religious people. He was a friend of prostitutes and tax collectors. He was called the friend of sinners. But this message tonight, this isn't for your atheist friends or for your unsaved relatives. This is for us, for those of us who claim to be Bible-believing Christians, who claim to be sincere belovers of Jesus. What do you as individuals, what do you believe? And I ask you that because this. A study in Time magazine in 2008 showed that 57% of evangelical Christians believe that there could be multiple ways to heaven. 5 years later, in 2013, the Christian Post wrote an article and said that 66.6% of young evangelical Christians, who in this room is a young evangelical Christian? Yeah, most of us, right? 66.6%, 2/3, said that they don't believe that Jesus is the only way to heaven. 66.6%. That means that over half of the people, not over half of just people in general, over half of unbelievers don't believe the Bible. Over half of believers don't believe that Jesus was who he said he was. Guys, if you don't believe that Jesus was who he said he was, if you don't believe that that book is 100% true, then the truth of the matter is you just have to question whether or not you're a Christian. Because guys, guess what? That's what being a Christian means. Being a Christian means we proclaim Jesus as God, regardless if we bother, offend, or frustrate, or make uncomfortable. And I hear it all the time, Max. You know, when I talk to people about this, because it is weird, and I've said it myself, Max, saying that Jesus is the only way to heaven, it's offensive. But good, let it offend people. Let's offend the world in hopes that we might bring truth to some before we compromise what we believe and remain lost ourselves. Here's the point, guys. Somebody's right. Somebody's right. At the end of the day, no matter where you fall on the spectrum of belief, one point, we're all going to die, and somebody's right. Here's my challenge to you. Believe the Bible. Believe Jesus was who he said he was, or don't. Believe the Bible, believe Jesus, or don't. Because guess what? There is a plethora of cowardly, half-hearted Christians who refuse to own what they believe, but still say they do on Facebook or on their tattoos or in passing because they're afraid of offending their grandma. And I know because I've been one. And the world just doesn't need any more of that. There is a line in the sand. Guys, literally, it's this simple. I know it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but there's a line in the sand. And this is what it comes down to. You believe or you don't. And when I say you believe, I mean you believe Jesus was who he said he was. You believe he's the only way. You believe in the truth of the gospel or you don't. And that's a question that you need to answer for yourself. As young adults, as individuals. And I'll tell you this, I want you to make that decision for yourself. I'll tell you this, I know for a fact that there's a God that's real and he loves you and he deeply desires a deep, passionate, intimate relationship with each and every one of you. That's on you. There's a line in the sand. And the people like this, straddling it, are just as in danger as the people over here on the wrong side. It's good stuff to think about. I just really want you guys to wrestle with that. What do you believe as individuals? Because at the end of the day, guys, God doesn't want to exist in this paradigm of believing, of your parents believe this, and then you're just kind of along for the ride, and that's how he experiences a relationship with you. He wants you as individuals, each and every one of you. Guys, too, over there talking. He wants a relationship with each and every one of you. Yeah. Okay, wow, thanks, buddy. So just meditate on that. Be thinking about that. It's so funny. God loves you guys. I love you guys. Remember, your leaders are around. I will be here till 8:15 if you have questions or you thought something was wrong or doofy and you want to talk about it. So I'm going to pray, and then you guys are dismissed. Dear God, thank you for this time. Shh. Please be respectful. Dear God, thank you for this time. Thank you for this opportunity we have to come together and be about you and for you. God, I pray that tonight you continue to be here with each and every one of us, and you continue to reveal the intimate things about yourself to us, that you continue to bring us all along in the next step of our walk with you. God, thank you for being big. Thank you for being good. And I pray you'd bless these individuals tonight. Thank you for each and every youth in the chair tonight, because I know that you have every single person in this room here for a reason. In your name I pray, amen. All right, thanks, guys.